VGC is supported by Patreon. Check out patreon.com/videogameschronicle for more podcasts, ad-free browsing, and extra content. Thank you for your support. Because my friend Makara, he's a bit of a psycho. It's VGC, the video game podcast, with me, Jordan Midler, and Chris Scullion. This week, switch to chat and ranking every Nintendo launch. But first, how's it going, Chris? Congratulations, fellow award winner. Shake my hand right here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's going very well. For those who don't know, we've won, was it Media Brand of the Year?
Easy! At
the MCV Developer Awards. So yeah, it's a lovely award to win. I'm going to celebrate by not drinking from the can for once. I usually drink straight from the can. Instead, I'm pouring it off screen. Don't know if you can hear that.
I can. It's a nice it's ASMR.
Most people celebrate by going out on the piss, as they say, drinking various alcohol. I instead pour my drinks into my trophy glass, which we'll now celebrate.
Down and one.
Spill all over my keyboard.
Oh, is that a PlayStation trophy glass?
It is a PlayStation. It's got the PlayStation logo emblazoned on the front and your wee trophy signs on the other side.
You know who doesn't have a PlayStation trophy glass? Johnny PlayStation over here. I need to invest in one of those. That's
I mean, if they ever made an Xbox achievement glass or Nintendo achievements at all, I would do that instead. But
an Xbox, the Xbox achievement logo, I suppose, is more the kind of rounded like rectangle they have. So
yeah, that would just spill all over the table. More
of a sound bar. Very nice. If the man who actually accepted the award ever appears, we'll get him on to talk about it. But before we do that, Chris, this is the first time we've done a podcast in this lovely virtual studio in 3 weeks or something like that, because the last one was before we even went to LA. That was a hell of a time, a hell of an experience.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah. Exhausting afterwards, and then coming straight. I feel like we've not had the moment to just be like, it feels like we're still on the same run we were from them. But the amount of support we got during that time was absolutely crazy, and I wish we could have just spent more time sitting on that couch getting the great and good and the bad Chris String of the video game industry to come on back.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we went. It's nice to walk about and just have loads of people say, "Oh, it's so and so from it's so and so and so and so," and you go, "Oh," and they recognised us as well. It was nice to kind of when we do this from day to day, like at home, it's kind of easy to forget that we're growing and our reach is growing, like out there. So when you go to these kind of physical places and peers and other kind of media staff like recognise you from your work, it's a cool thing. So yeah, it was nice.
You told the story of what happened at Football Ramble Live. Do you want to tell the story about what happened in the JW lobby?
I mean, it's basically the same story, just replace the venue with a different one, and you get it's the same basic bear where somebody like praised you for the podcast while I was standing right there. I'm like, mate. I mean, I get it. I'm an intimidating figure. Like I'm
that's the thing.
95% muscle, so I get that people don't even want to look at me in case I've ripped their lungs out. So I get it, but I'm actually a gentle giant, and I can be approached.
The thing you said afterwards about wondering if you died and no one had actually told you really tickled me, and it tickled me about a week later when I started thinking about it. But yes, thank you to everyone who came up to us, said hello, and thank you to all the folk that came by the couch. It's amazing that actual industry professionals like Lou Blaine sat in that room for an hour and got gassed by energy drinks provided by Gersman. I really hope, so a couple of those got left in the room because I simply couldn't drink them before going on a 10-hour flight. I hope that whatever cleaning staff sorted that out did not ingest them, because I feel like we could be held liable for that.
I'd like to imagine that a member of cleaning staff saw an energy drink lying about, thought, I've never had an energy drink before. This is clearly left goods. I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Not realising it was expired, fusty, out-of-date pish, and then just went on a rampage and ripped the curtains down.
Made from mushroom extract or whatever else it was. But yes, thank you all for your support, and thank you to our supporters on patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle, including our wonderful season ticket holders: Tanner Santos, Serkin Toto, Shay Dougal, Matt Huggins, Martimus Prime, Ryan Cabane, Sam Biggs, Ginger Jotun, Matt Edmonds, and the mighty director, Kira, the mysterious benefactor, Kira. Thank you very much for all of your support. If you'd like to support VGC, you can do so at patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. Let's get into it. Story number 1, the Nintendo Switch 2, 2 weeks later. Chris, it's just over 2 weeks since the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. Doesn't that feel weird?
Yeah, because especially considering how long we had to wait for the thing to come out.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it comes out and you're like, okay, there's literally nothing to look forward to now.
All of a sudden it comes out and we're like, right, let's get on a plane and work flat out for 5 days and not actually touch the thing, basically.
Yeah, that was probably touch and go. Like my taxi was pulling up just as my last game was finished and downloading for the airport. But no, I'm happy with it. It's a wonderful piece of kit. I know there was lots of kind of complaints about various things about it before launch, but I think now that it's in people's hands, I think most people who've bought it have kind of agree that a lot of those kind of stuff like game key cards, which are obviously still an issue, but in terms of the actual hardware itself, I think there can be few complaints, I think.
Yeah, I'm in a weird spot with it where I kind of just wish I had more to play on it, because obviously when the other two are on their generational cycle, when they come out, there's generally a load of third-party stuff that is new third-party stuff to play on it. So even if, like, when the PS5 came out, you had, like, Astrobot and Demon's Souls and Miles Morales, but you also had your big third parties that were out at that time, whereas obviously the third-party output here is stuff that I've already played months ago. So the main things are Nintendo things, which is why I maintain that I think it needed another, be it Donkey Kong or be it Metroid Prime out now. I think it needed one more thing, but I'm really enjoying. I'm playing so much Pokemon on it. That's like the main thing I'm playing at the minute. It's just a really nice thing to hold. I want to get the D brand grip because this isn't a knock on the console, it's a knock on the size of my hands. It does get sore to hold after a while, so that would be my only minor complaint. But as I say, I don't think that's a dig on itself. The battery life's not good. It's like it's verging on unacceptably bad, but I would trade the power for the battery because I'm very rarely in a place where I can't plug the thing in.
This is the thing. It's like the battery life is awful, but like I said, I can't remember if I said that before in one of these podcasts or somewhere else. But the battery's awful, but we're at a situation now where people will rarely be in a position where that will sting them.
Yeah.
Because either they're playing at home docked, in which case the battery isn't an issue. They're going on a short kind of commute to work, in which case the battery will hold up for an hour or two. Or they're on a lengthy trip, in which case you would hope they just bring a plug with them.
Or there's a plug on the plane, on the train, or somewhere like that.
So there's solutions to it. It's still not ideal, but when we're at the kind of power we're dealing with now with these games, like you see it with the Steam Deck and laptops and stuff as well, we're basically at the age where, unless there are like revolutionary changes to battery technology, we're going to have to accept that a couple of hours is the new normal for the type of games we want to play.
Yeah.
Now on these things, it's like it's just the way it is. It's a necessary evil.
There's also the weird wrinkle where the battery readout is wrong on launch switches.
I heard about that. Yeah, mine's is okay, but
so apparently the issue is it will go down to saying low battery in about half an hour, and you've still got like an hour and a half worth of battery left, and it'll just stay at that low battery thing. The fix is launch your Switch in recovery mode and then just restart it, and that fixes it completely, apparently, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, really, really nice system. I'm a bit let down by the GameCube output. I know that this is their standard with their classic games, but I think it looks worse in comparison when you have the Wii U version of Wind Waker kicking a ball that I played and really liked, and I opened up the GameCube version and I was like, yeah, I suppose that's a game that gets away with it more than most because of the art style, but there was a part of me that was like, it would have been nice if they just used the Wii U version here. I know that would have opened them up to a whole other can of worms, but I'm looking forward to stuff being on that isn't on, that hasn't been redone, like the Pokemon games, obviously. Those Pokemon games, I won't believe they're coming out until they're physically on my Switch 2 because they've been such a point of contention for so many years, but playing Soul Calibur is good. The version of F-Zero is really good. Have you messed about with much third-party stuff? I opened Cyberpunk and went, "Oh, that's quite impressive," but then I've played Cyberpunk to death, so I don't know that I'm going to play tons more of it.
That's the thing. Most of them, like you say, but most of them are games that have been out for quite a while now. So we're fortunate that we were sent codes for some of them. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have bought them, because stuff like Yakuza 0, I played through most of that on Series X and then started playing through it again on Steam Deck. And I'm like, I'm really not interested in playing through it again on Switch 2, but I booted it up and played it for a wee bit. I'm like, looks good. Frame rate smooth. That's lovely. Delete. And the same with Sonic and Shadow Generations runs surprisingly well on it. Delete. I've played through these games already. I'm not that fussed about playing through them again. Fast Fusion is excellent.
Yeah,
I think it runs really well. What else? The Street Fighter I enjoy. Street Fighter's put me in an odd position, because I was playing the Xbox one quite a lot, but I didn't bother with the DLC.
Yeah.
And now I've got the DLC on the Switch one, and I'm like, so do I have to start like World Tour all over again now that I've got the DLC? First world problems, but for the most part, it's one of those weird launches where, and that's being reflected in the news, where kind of third-party sales have started pretty slow, which usually happens for a launch system, but often a launch system has at least one or two big third-party games that you go, I'll try that, like GameCube had Rogue Leader and stuff like that. Whereas here, there's really nothing. If you're considering, especially because the quote-unquote hardcore are the ones who buy it day one, these people know most of these games already, and they've already got Civ, or they've already got Cyberpunk or Hitman or whatever.
Especially with the prices they're charging for these third-party games. Like, I wouldn't, obviously, as you say, we get sent codes for this stuff, but I'm not paying 60 quid for Yakuza 0, a game that has been released on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series and PC.
I checked right now as we speak, at this very minute, Yakuza 0 is £15.99 on Steam and PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah.
So nobody's paying $50 for it. Like,
that extra 35 is that weird multiplayer mode where you can all play as the old man. It's an interesting one. I think, as you say, it needed its Assassin's Creed Black Flag, where everyone that bought a PS4 also got Black Flag, because they were like, this is like a big new game. This is a big new Christmas game. Obviously, it doesn't matter a jot to Nintendo, because it's already like the fastest selling console in the US. But it's a weird launch.
And it's also, people are obviously jumping on it because, like, you know what it's like. People love to jump on these things and jump to daft conclusions. So people have already jumped to the conclusion that this means third-party games won't sell on Switch too. And it's like, well, no, it's just weird launch day bullshit. We need to wait until the next big game comes out with a multi-platform day one launch.
Tony Hawk. That's the question.
Probably Tony Hawk, before you can properly compare them across the board and see how many people are choosing Switch 2 as well as or instead of the console versions. And even then, we need a couple of case studies where we need to see games that look significantly worse on Switch 2 compared to the other two, and whether people are going to go for handheld play over the others. And we need to see games that look identical, like a Digital Eclipse release or something like that looks identical across the board, to see how much of the percentage Switch 2 is going to get. So,
I wonder if, you know how there's sometimes that quirk where this is very inside baseball, but this is what people like to hear. You know, there's sometimes that quirk when we'll get sent review emails and they'll say, we've got PC and PS5, we've not got Xbox or Switch until launch. I think that'll continue with Switch 2, because I think for a lot of stuff, I usually default to PS5 purely for trophies and the fact I have that big stupid thing sitting here. But for Tony Hawk, that's something where I'd be like, oh, well, I'd quite like the Switch 2 version, because that's definitionally a get in and out for 2 minutes kind of thing. I hope not. I hope there's a plentiful bounty of them.
I'm hoping so. I mean, again, inside baseball here, I think it's because, like, Steam keys, as I understand it, publishers and PRs providing review code, like Steam keys are as close to just pressing a button and getting a key.
Yeah, they can just generate them. Yeah.
Whereas the other systems are more finite with their keys, and certainly, from as I understand it, Nintendo review keys are kind of fairly low numbers in the past. But again, a company who will remain nameless, like, kind of told me that Steam, Switch 2 codes, they were getting a lot more of them this time. So hopefully that's the case continuing forward, because it would be nice to, if we're reviewing a game on a console, to also get the Switch 2 version for comparison purposes, so we can put up videos saying how good does it look on Switch 2, because that's what a lot of people are going to give a shit about. Like,
you're rubbing
how much
your
of
hands,
a downgrade is this?
You're waiting for the first game runs better on Switch 2 than PS5 Pro. You'll be running about with your top over your head.
Finally, this is the way to play Raidu.
Raidu! Going forward, they showed this week a Donkey Kong Direct for Donkey Kong Bonanza, a game that I will call Donkey Kong Bonanza for the rest of time. At least I'll type it that way. They showed off Pauline, which anyone who reads VGC already knew that she was in it, because Nintendo South Korea absolutely shat the bed about 3 months ago and announced that.
A Korea-ending move.
Well, there you go. I thought this looked better than what they've shown. Not mega hot and heavy on it. I want to play it. I think the music sounds great, and I'm a sucker for music. The jump up superstar sequence in Odyssey made me absolutely weep. So Nintendo music stuff does it for me. You feeling this Direct?
I feel it more now. Like I was always, like, I think when we said after the Switch 2 kind of event, before it came out, we all played a bunch of us played the Donkey Kong. I was going to say,
I played Hee Haw. First time I played the Switch 2.
I corrected myself there to be generous. They all kind of, many of us played the Donkey Kong Bonanza demo, and we came out going, like, there's something there, but like that demo maybe wasn't the best way to show it off, because the demo was literally just wreck the joint and try and find as many bananas as you can. And I've said I hope there's more to it than that. And it looks like there is. Like, the transforming into animal shit is like basically Banjo-Kazooie. The bit where he turns into an ostrich, I was like, oh, aye. Is Pauline going to go in a backpack? Aye. But stuff like that, like you say, the music sounds fantastic. It looks like there's more structure to it than what we'd previously played. The fact that you can use a kind of radar to find these bananas rather than just smashing through everything and hoping for the best gives me hope that it will be... at least won't be an exercise in patience and just kind of finding everything in 100% in this game, because that's my worry, is that there's just going to be lots of random shit hidden and you're just going to have to wreck everything to clear the game. I wouldn't
terribly mind that, but I get what you're saying. Did you see that the DK rap is back in it?
I saw that. I saw Mr. Kirkhope was
enemy of
unaware
the
it was
show.
coming.
Mate, see drinking with Grant Kirkhope at SGF, it was like drinking with Paul McCartney. Every 2 minutes someone was coming up to him and going, "Oh, I love these old shitey games." And I thought he was he seemed quite refreshed by the fact that I think I've played about one game he's ever composed for, and it's Mario Rapids.
Andy tried to turn him against me by just telling lies the second Grant Kirkhope turned up. I was like, here's the first time I'm ever meeting a legendary composer behind some of the greatest video game scores of all time. And Andy said to Grant, "Oh, hey Chris here, he fucking hates Banjo." And I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? Like, what are you?
Thankfully, Grant's too nice a man to take that bait. Good Scottish man as well, although he's completely lost his accent, the traitor. I think the future of Switch 2 stuff looks kind of bright. Obviously, we joked about it earlier, but currently on the London Underground, there's a big poster saying Metroid Prime 4 is out now. That could maybe be maybe that's like their August thing. Obviously, they have Pokemon in October, but I think by the time we are celebrating Christmas, we'll go, there's a good bunch of stuff on the Switch 2 right now.
It's the same way every launch lineup, as we'll get to later. I think there's like a lot of these things launch with a big game or two big games, and it just so happens that in the past those big games have had a bit more to them than a Mario Kart. Like Breath of the Wild had people playing for weeks and still sharing and discovering stuff. For some people, after the novelty of playing as a cow has worn off, like Mario Kart is just basically Grand Prix and online races. The open world stuff is kind of leaving stuff to be desired. So I think that's not helping. That the one big game on Switch 2 is the sort of game that will last years in terms of casual play sessions with your pals, but is it like a meaty thing for single players to properly?
It feels to me like launching with a Smash or something like that. Like it's one that you want in your library like forever. However, I want to have completed something, you know.
It's always weird launching with a predominantly multiplayer game, because it's usually the hardcore who buy on day one, and they predominantly tend to be single player like players. So it feels like Donkey Kong's the big one that's going to, the first big one that'll get the single player players
contingent.
Happy. Indeed, indubitably.
So
we'll see. Like you say, in a year's time from now, we'll look back and go, this is getting good. And 3 years from now, people will be like, this is the best system ever. We're swimming in games. Blah blah blah.
Continue the lie that the Switch was the best system of all time.
Listen,
that's a direct dig at Chris Strang. Another one. He's getting absolutely. He's taking a hell of a beating this episode.
Game business.
Shout out the games business.
Business.
I think we'll be looking back in a year's time and going, congratulations to Game of the Year, Pokemon Legends ZA. But so the Pokemon update to Scarlet and Violet it's amazing. However, it has completely broken shiny hunting in that game. So the way that the spawns work in that game is, previously there would be like 10 to 15 Pokemon spawning. And shiny hunting is when you look for a special variation of a Pokemon that appears like 1 in every 4,000 times that the Pokemon spawns. You can make that lore, blah, 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 blah. But now, like 45 Pokemon appear at once. So it's made it so trivial at this point. So you do that. You make shiny sandwiches, which we've made great money out of. You have your shiny charm and you use a mass outbreak. And I was finding shiny Pokemon in like minutes. It's like so completely broken to the point where I think they'll have to rethink it for Legends ZA and for Gen 10. But it's so nice going back to that game, and it's so nice seeing a lot of people online being like, I'm glad I never played this because I'm getting to play this like brand new Pokemon game that runs like, that's a great launch game if you never bothered with it on Switch, because obviously it was a technical bumfire.
I think that's going to be my game when we're going to Japan in a couple of weeks. I think that's going to be my Japan game, because I never played that. That was another one that's on my backlog.
Yeah, and
my laziness has paid off.
It's a really good one. Like, it's an actual really good Pokemon game, which is obviously like I bum Pokemon constantly, but I'm always forthright with the fact that I don't think the main series had been very good for a long time. Like, I thought Sword and Shield was quite average. I thought Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon were really on the kind of lower end, but this is the first kind of mainline RPG that I've loved in a really long time. Obviously, Legends Arceus was a hell of a game, but I wish they would go and sort that out. I know it's awkward because they're doing ZA, but I wish they would just go and do a patch for that to maybe just bump the frame rate, the resolution, because it's a bit ropey.
I hope there's more patches coming. I get the feeling there might be more patches coming. Because was there not something else? I may be misremembering this. I'm sure there was another Nintendo game recently that people have noticed works better now.
I think a few things have had like a few things have had weird like back patches where like just sheer power things are a bit better, but not the official kind of shiny patches.
It's funny seeing how it's affecting, because obviously some games had really bad frame rate, and now because the Switch 2 is more powerful, the frame rate's naturally just kind of going all the way up to whatever the cap was. But some games were developed with the frame rate issues taken into account. So like Deadly Premonition famously has an awful frame rate, or had an awful frame rate, and the speed of the cars was tied to the frame rate as a result. But now, because the frame rate runs at like a pretty solid 60 frames a second, the cars are just like rocket powered. It's so broken. So yeah, fun times.
It's appropriate for that game, I suppose. Okay, moving on. Story number 2. Bungie has delayed Marathon. In a statement, the Destiny studio said it needs more time to craft Marathon into a game that truly reflects your passion. The game was originally set to release on September 23rd. Apparently, the changes will focus on things like the kind of solo experience, and more social elements like proximity chat and other bits and pieces. Chris, in your waters, I need you to consult your waters. Does Marathon come out?
Yes, it comes out. I don't know if it's a success when it does, but I saw this coming. I saw the delay coming. I mean, it takes quite a while to create your own artwork for a game. But I kind of got the feeling, especially when the alpha test came out and nobody was talking about it.
Yeah,
I kind of got the feeling, well, this, because usually when there's an alpha or a beta, or some people are like, because like with what's the football game that just came out? Rematch. There's a lot of kind of positive vibes about the beta for that. People going, this is actually shit hot. We're at Summer Game Fest. Some people are saying I've put 10, 15 hours into Rematch already. Just the beta. So that gives you kind of generally a vibe that this is going to be quite good when it comes out. Nobody was talking about Marathon.
Yeah.
That I could see on my feeds, which made me think this isn't grabbing people.
No clip. There was like no big viral clips. Like I saw a couple of people play it, and I saw a couple of podcasts because obviously a lot of folk went out to Bungie to play it, and I watched all that stuff. And it's like there was no momentum behind it whatsoever. I think this is probably the correct decision for this one. It's the kind of thing.
It feels like the sort of thing that needs another big trailer launch at a big event to kind of get people interested in it again, almost to kind of reintroduce it to people. Because I think a lot of people it's so far off so many radars.
You referenced that, obviously, this stolen art thing. What if the stolen art problem is like a much bigger problem than they initially thought, and they have to spend like a year completely changing the look of this game?
This is what I was thinking about, because like there's no smoke without fire, and I doubt somebody. Fair enough, whoever it was, apparently doesn't work there anymore. So they've had a designer who it seems has been a bit cheeky and just thought yoink. But then, that then becomes, well, what else has been handled in a similar way, and without taking every single asset and running like a backwards search through and everything in the entire game. There's no way of telling that what's legit and what isn't. So it's a nightmare for the people involved who have been doing it legit. They must be like livid at how this has happened. But yeah, you're right. Like, because if they release that and someone finds something else, that's absolutely catastrophic for that game.
Yeah.
They need to make sure it's 100% above board now, and that's going to take time.
If they're going to change the art, they should maybe change the name. And you know what they could change it to, Chris?
Opal Fruits.
Story number 3, Xbox announces next gen AMD deal. Say future devices won't be tied to a single store. Sarah Bond was out there talking about the future of Xbox hardware. I think this is largely fairly dull, because chips and stuff don't get me, chips and cheese get me excited, but chips in a console don't get me excited. The not tied to a store thing is very interesting. Is Steam going to be on an Xbox platform? Because I cannot see a world in which they're just like, well, Steam's here where games are always cheaper, so why would you ever buy stuff from our store where we get all the money?
It's a weird one. I don't know if it's going to be Steam or if it's just going to be like other stores.
Yeah.
In the same way that PC's got Steam, Epic Game Store,
GOG.
I don't know if it's going to be like that, where they're all still Xbox games, but people can release them in their own stores, or if it's a full this plays PC games plus Xbox games situation, and it can run kind of like the handheld, run its own version of Windows, which potentially can then access Steam and something. I don't know. I tell you, I saw Sarah Bond at the Xbox portion of Summer Game Fest.
Did you ask her to come on the podcast?
I didn't. I said, "All right, Bond." I didn't say anything. I was a coward. But she was shaking, but she wasn't stirred.
There you go.
That's a James Bond reference there.
There was a lot of people cutting about Summer Game Fest that you didn't expect to see.
But Phil Spencer was just happily walking around the campus.
Yeah.
People like that. It's like.
I told the story last year, but last year at Summer Game Fest, while Phil was mid-demo, he was accosted by one hip-hop gamer who shared his thoughts on the current slate of Xbox games. Phil's a good sport when it comes to stuff like that. Like Mark Cerny was there, Neil Druckmann was there. Like, should have went up to Cerny and be like, you get any games to show here, mate? Where's Ghost of Yote? Hideo Kojima was there.
Kojima was swanning about. He
Yeah.
wanted to see Out of Words,
Yeah.
which I've just put up a very positive write-up on videogameschronicle.com. Check it out.
The award-winning videogameschronicle.com.
An article about the soon-to-be award-winning Out of Words. That's going to pick up Game of the Year awards next year. Awards.
Whereas when I said hello to Druckmann, he was walking alone. You couldn't miss Hideo Kojima because he had an entourage of about 45 people alongside him, as he always does. But
all holding babies,
yeah.
in little canister thingies.
I'll keep coming. Speaking of Kojima, on Monday, you can read my Death Stranding 2 On the Beach review. We're also going to be doing our review Q&A for the game. If you want to submit your questions about Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, go to patreon.com/videogameschronicle. I will answer all that I can. I can't answer questions like, what is the ending? But you know the general vibe of that kind of thing.
If they called it Death Stranding 2 because you're giving it 2 stars?
They've called it Death Stranding 2 because it's the second game. In the Death Stranding series, and they've called it
disregard. Then
they've called it On the Beach because it's a collaboration with that holiday company, On the Beach. It's a really like Kojima loves his advertisements and his games. That was one that went a bit far for me. Based on Andy's preview coverage, we can in fact confirm that they have not relicensed Monster. So pour one out. Not a monster because you don't waste your monster like that.
No, definitely not.
When we come back, we're going to be ranking every Nintendo launch lineup, and we're going to be taking your questions. But until then, we'll be back in a minute. And we are back. This conversation was sparked, I believe, by a question in the Discord, but we thought it'd be as good a time as any to rank all of the Nintendo launch lineups for home consoles. So this is NES all the way to Switch 2. This launch lineup list has been curated by one Mr. Nintendo, Chris Scullion. Chris, can you confirm to me what's the name of that guy, the name of the referee on Gladiators that we've referenced maybe 15 times on this podcast?
John Anderson, God rest him.
Can you confirm Gladiators Ready that this list is correct?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. Things get tricky the further back you go, especially with the NES, because it had like a really staggered launch in America. It launched in like a few New York stores first and all this. And then in Europe, it was just all over the place. So it's the generally agreed launch lineup for the NES. And then it gets more straightforward as you go along. But yeah,
okay,
it's as close to accurate as you can get.
To kick us off, I'm going to do a read. Strap in. Your NES is 10-Yard Fight, Baseball, Clue Land, Duck Hunt, Excitebike, Golf, Gyromite, Hogan's Alley, Ice Climbers, Kung Fu, Pinball, Soccer, Stack Up, Super Mario Bros. Tennis, Wild Gunman, Wrecking Crew. Your SNES is F-Zero, Pilot Wings, SimCity, Super Mario World, and Gradius 3. The PAL version is Super Mario World, Super Soccer, Super Tennis, and F-Zero. N64, Super Mario 64, Pilot Wings 64, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey in PAL only, Star Wars Shadow of the Empire in PAL only, GameCube, strap in, Chris. 2002 FIFA World Cup, Batman Vengeance, Bloody Roar, Primal Fury, Burnout, Cell Damage, Crazy Taxi, Dave Mina Freestyle BMX 2, Donald Duck Quack Attack, Driven, International Superstar Soccer 2, International Winter Sports, Luigi's Mansion, Pac-Man World, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2, Super Monkey Ball, Tarzan Freeride, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Universal Studios Theme Park Adventure, Wave Race Blue Storm, and XGIII Extreme G Racing.
Do you want me to take over for a bit, or are you still...
At this point in time, Chris Scullion started working at Official Nintendo magazine, so it's only right that he takes the Wii.
Fair enough, this is where I step in. The Wii, the greatest launch lineup of all time, is all over the place, so I apologise. We'll be splitting into US and PAL. The Wii, Avatar The Last Airbender in the US, Excite Truck in the US, Call of Duty 3, Cars, Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 2 in the US, Elebits in the US, they get a lot more. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy in the US, GT Pro Series, Happy Feet, Ice Age 2 The Meltdown in PAL, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Madden NFL 07, Marvel Ultimate Alliance in the US, Monster 4x4 World Circuit, Need for Speed Carbon, Rampage Total Destruction in the US, Rayman Raven Rabbids, Red Steel, which I gave 90%, SpongeBob SquarePants, Creature from the Krusty Krab in the US, Super Fruitfall in PAL, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Double Agent in PAL, Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, Trauma Center Second Opinion, that was in the US only as well. Wii Play and Wii Sports was bundled with the console. Shall we do Wii U?
Yeah, go for it.
Wii U, which is basically half the Wii U library.
Go and make a cup of tea for this one, folks.
Wii U is Assassin's Creed 3, Batman Arkham City Armored Edition, Ben 10 Omniverse, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Darksiders 2, Disney Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2, ESPN Sports Connection, FIFA 13, Funky Barn, Game Party Champions, Just Dance 4, Madden 13 in America, Mass Effect 3 Special Edition, NBA 2K13, New Super Mario Bros. U, Ninja Gaiden 3, Razor's Edge, Nintendo Land, Rabbids Land in America, Scribblenauts Unlimited, Sing Party in America, Skylanders Giants, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, Tank, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, fucking Wii U edition, Transformers Prime the Game in America, Warriors Orochi 3 Hyper America, Wipeout 3 in America, Your Shape Fitness Evolved 2013 in America, and Zombie U.
And at that point, official Nintendo magazine was shut down.
Went under with a launch lineup like that.
For Switch, we've got 1-2 Switch, Fast RMX, I Am Setsuna, Just Dance 2017, The Legends of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, New Frontiers Days, Founding Pioneers, Othello, Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment, Shovel Knight, Treasure Trove, Skylanders Imaginators, Snipper Clip, Cut It Out Together, Super Bomberman R, Voez, and Vroom in the Night Sky. And the Switch 2, take us home, Chris.
Switch 2, we've got Arcade Archives 2, Rage Racer, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Civ 7, Cyberpunk 2077, Deltarune, Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, Fast Fusion, Fortnite, Hitman World of Assassination, Hogwarts Legacy, Boo, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Switch 2 Edition, Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition, Mario Kart World, Switch 2 Welcome Tour, No Man's Sky, Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, Rune Factory Gardens of Zuma, Sonic and Shadow Generations, Split Fiction, Street Fighter 6, Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Survival Kids, and Yakuza Nine.
So we have 8 consoles here to rank. Let's just get let's split them into top 4, bottom 4, shall we? This might make things easier. I would submit 2 shouts for the top 4 are the Wii and the original Switch. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I think, much as it pains me I think we can eliminate NES. Because as much as Super Mario Bros. Is my favourite game of all time, the rest of them don't really hold up these days. A lot of them were kind of big titles at the time, but even back then, I can remember reading old kind of Mean Machines magazines and stuff, and even back then they were saying stuff like baseball, tennis, soccer were like 60-70% reviews they were getting. So even back then, it's all good looking back at them saying, oh well, you have to consider back then, even back then they were like, these are quite basic. So Duck Hunt and Excite Bike and that were good, but I think Super Mario Brothers was the only really good game on the NES, so we can put that at the bottom, much as it pains me. I've got something to submit for the top 4, which is a strange one, and I think it might even be the best of the entire bunch, and it surprises me as I read through it. I'm going to submit Wii U to the top 4, and I've got reasons for it.
Go on then.
So when you look at the Wii U's launch lineup, we were talking before about needing a big first-party game, but also big third-party games, right? So Wii U launches with Nintendo Land, which granted isn't the most wildly fantastic game in the world, but be that as it may, there it is. It launched with a new Mario game, New Super Mario Bros. U. It launched with interesting third-party stuff. Zombie U got a lot of kind of chat about it. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, the greatest non-Mario karting game ever made, was a launch title and only came out a day before on other systems. So that was essentially a day one third-party game. There are a lot of big games in there. You've got a Mass Effect in there. You've got...
That was old at the time, though.
True, but you've got an Assassin's Creed in there. They all add up. So you had a new Tekken Tag Tournament in there. I'm inclined to say that's up there with the best of them.
I think we can. I'd be happy to set it in the top 4 at the moment, and then we can talk about it. I think what hurts the Wii U is that a lot of these other launches have some of the best games of all time in them. So let's do it.
They did all have Funky Barn though, did they?
True. It doesn't have Tank. Let's stick it top 4 to be safe. But the problem is, we're immediately going to have to join it in the top 4, in my opinion. And it's a slight launch lineup, but the SNES, I mean, F-Zero, Pilot Wings, Super Mario World, that could almost be enough, and then a really good version of SimCity. Like, that doesn't scream bottom 4 to me.
This is a problem because we're then going to have to look into quantity versus quality.
Yeah.
Because you look at the N64, especially in America, where it launched with literally 2 games, but one of those 2 games was Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
And you're like, another one being Pilot Wings. And then at that point, it's like, it only had 2 games, but if you bought just those 2 games, you were sorted for a very long time. Certainly more than you have been with the Switch 2, I would argue. So yeah, it's a weird one. I agree with you with the SNES. I would put that top 4 as well.
Can we put Switch 2 bottom 4 just to get it out there? Yeah,
I think so. Because as much as I enjoy Mario Kart World, it's pretty much the only. There's so many games there, and maybe Deltarune as well, but I've not played enough of that to know. Yeah. But that's on everything else. There's not many exclusives there.
What are you feeling about the Wii? Because the best Wii game came with a system, so it's a bit of a strange one.
The Wii was a weird one because, like you say, Wii Sports was like groundbreaking, but it wasn't much of a game.
Yeah.
And although it launched with a Zelda, it was also on GameCube, so it wasn't like an exclusive. Although again, you could argue the same with Breath of the Wild. That was also on Wii U, but fucking 3 people had a Wii U, so it doesn't seem quite the same. But yeah, when you look at the rest of the Wii lineup, it's pretty shite, other than the amazing Red Steel, obviously.
Yeah, I was quite hot and heavy on it, but then this is the problem. The great stuff like the Wii Play and Twilight Princess, it does get, if we're taking it as the entire lineup and we can't just eliminate stuff like you're looking at Cars, you're looking at Happy Feet, you're looking at Ice Age, like that takes it down.
Yeah. If you walk into a shop on day one, this is what I'm picturing in my head, and you go into the shop on day one for each of these consoles and see every game just kind of lined up on the shelves in front of you. You take one look at the Wii lineup and say a lot of that shite.
Yeah.
And I think that damages it. I'd put that bottom 4.
Yeah,
much as I love the Wii, much as I'll fight to the death to defend the Wii from people who just totally dismiss it, that day one lineup wasn't amazing.
I think a console with a similar lineup and without maybe a massive game, but talk about the GameCube. I mean, Luigi's Mansion is a good game, but it's not a Mario game in the traditional sense.
GameCube's a weird one because it had better third-party games than first-party games, which is the only Nintendo. Like, because it had Rogue Leader, which is like still, which ended up still being like one of the top 5 games on the thing over the course of its life.
I mean, a great version of Pro Skater 3 as well. Yeah,
exactly. But then, yeah, you're right. Luigi's Mansion, as much as I liked it as a launch game, it's like so. It's a weird one. Like it's maybe top. It could. There's an argument for it to be either top or bottom 4.
Does it maybe squeak it top? I think this is a 4 or a 5. I think it's right in that middle period. In my opinion,
I think it squeaks it.
Yeah. Right. Let's N64. One of the most important games of all time. An argument for the most important game of all time. But as you say,
nothing else.
Either 2 or 3 other games, so it's hard to say that's an absolute killer launch lineup.
Yeah,
remember we're going launch lineup. It's not the best game that appeared at launch.
Oh yeah, agreed. Like if a console launches with 2 games, it's like, that's not enough.
Although, it's weird because I was going to say I kind of feel the same way about the Switch, but that had I'm no great Breath of the Wild fan, but I'm not gonna impose that on the quality of its launch lineup. Like that is another 1 game lineup.
Could you argue N64 ahead of SNES?
I'm more of a World man than a 64, but
I'm just thinking because the jump from 3 to World isn't as big as a jump from World to 64.
Yeah.
In terms of like reinventing the genre, as the kids say.
Yeah.
It feels like SNES and N64 are 4 and 5, and they're kind of interchangeable.
Okay, let's start building the list here. If I say that SNES is 4, just throw that out there.
And N64 is 5.
And then are we doing Switch 2 at 6?
If not further down.
Is Switch 2 worse than the NES?
Well, NES is 8.
Okay.
We've decided NES is 8 because that's the kind of least.
Okay, NES is 8.
So it comes down. What was worse, Switch 2 or Wii?
Oh man, Switch 2 or Wii? I think Wii has more pish.
Switch 2
has, but Switch 2 has better games.
But they're all old.
But the Wii, yeah, is it
Like,
better to have old games or pish games?
The thing is, we had a Zelda, which granted was on GameCube as well, but it was still a day one new Zelda game. We had Wii Sports, which even if you don't think it was the greatest game ever, it transformed gaming. It was a killer app, as they say. It had a Call of Duty, fair enough. It wasn't like, at the time, Call of Duty wasn't the big thing it was now. I think if you put aside all the shite tie-in games, it had it had a few interesting things, more than the Switch 2 does, I think.
The only thing I'd say for Switch 2 is that from this list that I'm looking at, there is no absolute mince. There is no, and that's a factor of there not really being kids games now, but you could play all of those games and be like, yeah, that's pretty decent. It gets hurt by the fact that all of these games have been on other things pretty much, but
plus the ignorant bastard in me isn't acknowledging a lot of the RPGs and stuff that are on Switch 2 that by all accounts are great. Like Fantasy Life I is actually apparently really good.
Yeah.
Bravely Default was brilliant on 3DS, and this is like a remaster of that, which is a new game. Fantasy Life I only just came out, so Switch 2 ahead of Wii, I would say. So Wii 7, Switch 2 6.
We can relitigate, but I think that's okay at the minute. So we're sitting up at the top here. We are missing GameCube, Wii U, and the
Switch
original
one.
Nintendo Switch.
I say GameCube 3. Oh no, Wii U 3, GameCube 2, or is that too high for GameCube?
It's difficult because let's look at the Switch. Let's examine the Switch. 1-2 Switch. That's your Wii Play gimmick game. That's whatever. Just Dance. That's just a franchise. Same with Skylanders. Breath of the Wild is, I think, the modern Mario 64 in the sense that it is the game that defined the entire platform.
With Switch, you're putting all your eggs into Breath of the Wild, basically.
Yeah.
It's one game, but it's such a big game that it's carrying it.
It's exactly the game that the Switch 2 is missing. Like that kind of big open RPG did something totally different for the franchise. Like it became, it's also the game that made the Zelda franchise like much bigger in terms of like sales and in terms of prominence for Nintendo. So I think that has to go above GameCube. I just wonder, to me it's a fight between the Wii U and the Switch. The Wii U obviously has the numbers, but also GameCube, the GameCube launch lineup's really good as well.
It's a tricky one because you look at the GameCube stuff. There's stuff like Burnout.
Yeah.
There's stuff like you say, Tony Hawk's there.
There is a lot of mints. There's fucking Donald Duck Quack Attack. So
true, but Monkey Ball is fucking
an amazing,
insanely
game.
good. Rogue Leader, like I say, is one of the best ever. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was like hardly anyone bought Sonic Adventure 2 in the Dreamcast, and this was like a fancier version of it. So you've essentially got a new Sonic game. Wave Race Blue Storm was massively underrated. Wave Race game. I think GameCube's the best. Wave Race, Tony Hawk, Monkey Ball, Rogue Leader, Sonic Adventure 2, Burnout, Luigi's Mansion, all combined.
Gut check, you taking GameCube over Wii U?
Yeah.
Wii U or Switch?
Wii U.
So are we saying that this list?
I don't know. No, Switch.
So are we saying that this list is GameCube, Switch, Wii U?
Yeah.
Let's get these down. This is back at tobacco packet stuff here. GameCube.
Are we going to have to write an article about this eventually and justify it?
GameCube, Switch, Wii U. Let's ruminate on that list here. If you're listening along at home, the list is currently number 1 Switch, number 1 GameCube. I've changed it already. Number 2 Switch, number 3 Wii U, number 4 SNES, number 5 N64, number 6 Switch 2, number 7 Wii, number 8 NES. Anything on that list that jumps out to you is immediately it feels incorrect.
I think Andy, if Andy was here, God rest him, he would. I think he'd be raging that Wii's so low, because he would argue that Wii Sports was such an iconic game.
Yeah.
In the same way that Breath of the Wild was for the Switch, Wii Sports was for Wii.
Wii takes a lot of points away for the amount of mints that's on it, though, and it's a lineup.
It does. Part of me still thinks we should swap N64 and SNES, but that's a much of a muchness.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I'm generally happy with that. I feel bad Switch 2 is so low down because there are so many high quality games on it, but like you say, most of them are old.
Yeah. I like your argument for GameCube winning in terms of the stuff you're walking into a shop and there's eyeballing it, there's 20 GameCube games. Half of them pretty good to great games that you're getting for your new console. A lot of other stuff doesn't. A lot of other consoles don't have 5 games of that quality that you're getting on day one.
Yeah. Do you know what I bought with my GameCube on day one?
What did you get?
I didn't buy Luigi's Mansion.
2002 FIFA World Cup.
Yep. And Rogue Leader and World Cup were my launch games.
Excellent.
What a dick. Maybe Tony Hawk as well, actually. I don't remember. But certainly, if I didn't get Tony Hawk at launch, I got it shortly after. But yeah.
Are we saying that the Switch 2 launch lineup's better than the Nintendo Wii's launch lineup? Is that something you're comfortable with putting out there? Because that's the one I'm looking at. I'm thinking, that's I don't think the Switch 2 has a game on it yet that will define a generation in that way. But the Wii also takes it doesn't have the absolute shite that the Wii also has. Like, all the games on Switch 2 are pretty good at least.
That's the thing. I'm looking in terms of it's really is 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And you can either argue that we had a Zelda and Wii Sports, and the Zelda wasn't the best Zelda ever, but it was still a new Zelda game on day one. And Wii Sports transformed the gaming environment for better or worse. Whereas Switch 2 doesn't have that. Mario Kart World is good, but it's kind of fairly, it's a good game and that's about it. But the general overall, if you were to take an overall Metacritic score, if anyone ever actually bloody reviewed any of the games, it would be a much higher average than the Wii had a lot of 30s and 40s in there. Whereas Switch 2 seems like it's 7s, 8s overall.
Yeah, I'm counting like at least 10 Wii launch games that are like 2-starters, like absolute mints that would kind
Whereas
of
there aren't. I don't think there are any on Switch 2 that you could look at. And apparently, Survival Kids isn't great, but at least it's a brand new game.
Yeah.
Whereas all the rest are like, if you didn't have these games, and that's a big kind of qualifier there. If you've already got these games, then they're unessential. But if you've never played Cyberpunk, or if you've never played Hitman or either of the Zelda games or No Man's Sky, for example, or something like that, you're getting them for the first time. That's arguably the best lineup.
Yeah.
It's the fact they're also old that's bringing it so far down the list. Because if those were all new games, it would be far and away number one, without even questioning it.
Yeah. Okay. Then let's do this one. Switch 2 or N64. Is Mario 64 just so powerful that it's sweet? Because as a lineup, it's a one-game lineup. Shadows of the Empire is a good game. That was PAL only, so...
Do you know I traded in my Mega Drive and 102 games for Nintendo 64
Jesus
and Super Mario
Christ.
64?
Bet you regret that now.
Well, considering what they're worth, what the games are worth now, I believe it. So is it Switch 2 better than N64 lineup?
As a launch lineup. We're not arguing that it has a better game than Mario 64. It's as a lineup.
As a lineup on paper, if you walk into a shop and see an N64 launch lineup and a Switch 2 lineup, putting aside the fact they're all game key cards, Switch 2 is a better lineup.
It is, but also N64 has the thing that I think is missing from the Switch 2, which is a big single
The
player
killer
game.
app.
Yeah.
I would keep N64 ahead of it in terms of how transformative it was. Switch 2 is iterative.
Is the Switch 2 lineup better than the SNES lineup?
I think the SNES is higher than it should be.
Are you thinking that
I think
N64 goes to 4, Switch 2 goes to 5, then
SNES goes down to 6.
Yeah.
As much as I loved Super Mario World, it was the 4th Mario game.
Yeah. I can a lot of this I'm defaulting to you here because obviously this is your wheelhouse. So.
Like F-Zero was very good, Pilot Wings was very good, but they were never A-tier franchises.
Right. I'm gonna move N64 up one and then move.
I apologise to people listening to this who may not be thrilled by this, but I'm well into this.
This is exactly what the people that listen to this podcast want. They'll be screaming. Submit your own in the Discord and at patreon.com/videogameschronicle.
Very much.
Right. As we stand, GameCube, Switch, Wii U, N64, SNES, Switch 2, Wii, NES.
I put Switch 2 ahead of SNES.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Switch 3, I've just announced it. SNES.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yep. SNES launched with a very good game, with a great game and 2 very good games, but that was it.
Yeah.
And I remember waiting a while for another good one. So I'm happy with it, with the final lineup as it's written down now.
Switch 2 has made it higher than I expected, personally. But as a launch lineup, it's gotten away with the fact that it doesn't have shite on it. So congratulations. Yeah. So our definitive list of the ranking of Nintendo console launch lineups: 1, GameCube; 2, the Nintendo Switch; 3, the Wii U; 4, Nintendo 64; 5, the Nintendo Switch 2; 6, the SNES; 7, the Nintendo Wii; and 8, the NES. You happy with that?
I'm happy with that. I think if there's interest in this conversation we've just had, I think there's scope for taking this to Patreon, throwing up an extra screen with the lineups all written down and adding handhelds to it.
I think so.
To really mess things up. Adding Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, which is bottom, and DS and 3DS to it, and Virtual Boy.
And then we do Xbox, and then we do PlayStation, and we just do ranking of all launch lineups.
Then we do Steam.
We do DOS. If someone can think of a good name for a feature where we rank console lineups, let me know and I'll steal it without credit. Okay. That's going to be controversial. Let's take a few questions before we hit
we should call it Tears of the Kingdom, spelling Tears, Tiers.
It all ends in tears, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do
all ends in tears is very good.
Yeah. Jamie says, in reference to this article, the article he has linked is about The Witcher running on Series S. How do you think Microsoft will deal with the Series S console in the next year or so? They're already making some concessions and allowing some differences between features. How do you see it playing out? The Series S got an absolute lease on life with the Switch 2 and the handheld. Like, they're going to have to target lower spec stuff, so the Series S is totally fine.
Yeah, it's alive and well. Like you say, especially with the Xbox handheld, they're going to be in a position where they can bring out an Xbox handheld and then bring out a big game that doesn't run on that.
Yeah.
When their whole gimmick is you can play your Xbox everywhere. they can't then go, oh, by the way, except Flight Simulator 2026, that won't work on it. Like, everything's got to work on this handheld. Ergo, everything's got to work on Series S. Ergo,
a lot of Latin in this podcast. Wow.
Listen, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori, as they famously say.
Canna med it.
Exactly. Try to think of some shit, but I can't. So yeah, like, Series S is safe because these games are going to have to run.
You've got Series S. That's safe.
You're taking that home with you.
Do you want to go for the speedboat?
Let's see if you're going to get Switch 2 ports. But yeah, so if games need to run on the handheld, and you would imagine a lot of these games are going to get ported to Switch 2 as well now.
Yeah.
Series S is safe. I don't know if you saw Digital Foundry's.
Who?
A couple of guys.
The guys
couple of nerdlingers who look at. They did a great kind of breakdown on Cyberpunk, and in some ways, it's closer to Series S than PS4, which I thought was quite interesting. That's your DLSS in play.
I mean, famously, as we've said on this podcast before, Digital Foundry just make it up and no one can check them, so they can say whatever they want.
Famously.
Shodan says, due to your jobs, do you ever get the chance to play games you otherwise would not have had time for? Playing in my free time, it can often feel like I've got a lot of potential things I want to play, but can never get to. What I mean is, if your job is reviewing and playing games, do you inevitably get around to more as a result? The thought comes because I listened to a film review show where the reviewer ends up seeing way more films than the average person ever does. If my assumption is that's Kermode, and I've always been very jealous of the fact that Mark Kermode used to talk about the fact he would go into London on a Thursday and a Friday and see 10 films, and that was his job done. Our 9 to 5 is almost universally not playing games. When we're doing big reviews, it's happening out of term time. That's just the way it is, the way it's always been. Like, it'd be amazing to get to the point where we can be playing games on term time, patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle. But yeah, I think I play more games than 99.9% of people on Earth, and there is still, I've not got a Chris Scullion backlog, but no one does, but there's still stuff that if there was more hours in the day, I'd be like, I've still not finished Claire Obscure, despite us running into the whole bloody cast in LA 3 times. The job is not playing games, unfortunately.
I had a lovely conversation with the lead actress from Claire Obscure without realising that's who it was, because I've not played it yet.
Claire Obscure, that's her name?
Claire, is that? Yeah. Hello, my name's Claire! She was very lovely and like very personable and amenable. I'm like, she's one of the nicest people I've met out here in this cesspit of Los Angeles. And we walked away and you're like, that's her from Claire Obscure. I was like, what, Claire? I was like, yeah.
Mrs. Obscure to you.
So, fair play to her. She's a lovely person. I intend to play her game now. As a result, everyone should meet her personally. Yeah. that's the best kind of sales pitch for that game. But yeah, my backlog is comical, and that is for that very reason that we, especially during the Fish and the Terror magazine games, I could safely say I've probably played more Wii games and DS games than 99.9% of the population, because I handled so many of the reviews on
because you're a masochist
in those days. But it also meant so many 360 and PS3 games were added to my backlog, and that's just continued over time. So yeah, you know what it's like as well. Like, because this is our job now. When you go to play games outside office hours, I can't be arsed.
That's why the only thing I play outside review games really is FIFA. Like, there's nothing else.
Yeah, I play Fortnite because it's like a live service where I can turn my brain off, or mobile shit. Yeah. Because anything else, if I play it, my brain's like, I should be reviewing this, I should be criticising this, I should be turning this into something. Yeah. And which is why I've launched my Chris's backlog thing on patreon.com/Video Games Chronicle, where I'm finally going back to those old games, but recording it as I do it. So in my brain, I'm justifying a reason to do it, is actually turning into what I believe today's youth refer to as content.
Yeah, content with a capital U. Next question from StillGame7. Just thinking about console releases from your perspective as game journalists, what is your favourite launch from the hype and the events leading up to the launch, to the parties and the run-up, and the actual release meeting expectations? So, when the PS4 launch to me is defined by me going, okay, I'm going to take this really seriously now, because I've been doing stuff on my own wee side blogs and stuff before then, but the PS4 was the kickoff of, okay, by the time the PS5 comes out, I will be a full-time games journalist, and I got the PS5 for review. So it's a combination of, I'd maybe say the PS5 just because that was the first one where I'm sad that was a pandemic one, because that was like, obviously it kind of messed everything up. But the PS5 / Xbox Series to me was like, okay, I have new consoles in my house a month before they come out. Like, this is a sign of having quote unquote made it. So that was exciting in terms of divorcing it from the games journalism perspective. And what were you most excited for? For me, it was the PSP. For whatever reason, I was like so excited for the concept of the PSP blew my mind. So, and also I was like 10 when it came out, so it was like the perfect kind of storm of hype. Do you have one?
I can't remember in terms of like actual like just personally waiting for a console to come out. Like I've always been kind of
the PS5
excited
Pro
about any. Well, of course.
Yeah.
I've still not got one.
No longer $50. Chris, I hope you're sitting down.
I know.
It's no longer $50 off for the days of play.
I missed the window. Didn't I? But at a professional level, it will be the Wii all day until the day I die. No release. Even though we've just graded it the second worst console launch of all time for Nintendo. Like until the day I die, there'll be no greater launch for me personally and professionally, because when as I said before, when I joined Official Nintendo magazine, it was like 2 days after they'd renamed the Revolution the Wii, and I was like, "What have I done? what job have I taken on?" And so that was in May, and it came out in November. From May to November, you got to see the hype building for this thing, where the number of people buying the magazine rose drastically, month on month. We had a text competition to win a Wii. Like one of those shitty text in for £2. Like hundreds of thousands of people entered that competition. Literally, we could get Future going for a year with that competition alone.
And how did they thank you for that?
Oh, they let us go, obviously. It was seeing that launch build, and as someone who'd literally just started my career as well, this is all new to me, covering this, going to the events, playing the games in advance, breaking down how do you think this controller works? How do they researching accelerometers and all this kind of shit, like trying to figure it out. Getting in Japan, they released a TV remote that looked like the Wii remote before the Wii came out. Like Nintendo released an identical TV remote, like a gimmick, and we imported it so we could study the remote and see how it worked and all this kind of shit. Stuff like that, importing our US one so we could start playing it early. And then going to HMV in Oxford Street for the launch, and people recognising me for the first time because they'd been buying the magazine and going, "Oh, it's good," and hanging about with it. That was nothing.
Is that because I wasn't there? They didn't have. They weren't
pretty much. They were like, "Where's Jordan?" I'm like, "Well, that fetus."
I'm like, fucking primary school.
He's still swimming about his dad's boys. That's why he's not here. But yeah, it was great. So nothing will beat. Although there was subsequent launches like the 3DS and stuff like that, the Wii will always. There was nothing like that Wii kind of mayhem. Seeing Pat Cash and I believe Ricky Hatton. I think we were both at the event for no reason. Because Wii tennis and Wii boxing. Yeah, glory days.
I think for most people it will be like their first big one when they were like in terms of. Like, I'm excited when PS6 happens and we're still here. Like, that would be exciting to. I hope we can go and do like midnight stuff that we should have been able to do for the Switch 2 if it wasn't that one day of all days. But
I did, I suppose.
Yeah, true.
Just not in a journalistic capacity.
I got like the day of and the day before the Switch 2. I had a wee bit of like the kind of flutters, but I think because we had so much going on and it was just like quite a stressful time generally, I couldn't give myself over. Like the fact that the PS5 happened in a time period where you needed something to happen to make you happy really like made it kind of overwhelming. So the Series X and the PS5 for me are my ones. Extra Med, what are the team's favourite two filling doubler morning rolls? See for me, a square sausage with a wee bit of bacon on top a bit of red sauce. Happy as Larry.
Nearly identical. A square sausage with an egg on it.
I hate eggs.
Tomato sauce.
I despise eggs. There's something about them I don't. See, anytime an egg gets brought up, so obviously,
if an egg gets brought up, you've cooked it wrong.
I go absolutely mental. It becomes a chicken. So obviously, when you watch as many videos about Japan as people in this podcast do, they talk about the egg sando all the time. This gelatinous thing for 7-Eleven, and every time we see it, Laura goes, "Oh, that looks amazing," and I go, "Mate, I would be sick for Japan to Glasgow if I consumed an egg sando." So no into it.
Eggs. That also puts me off the fact it sounds like what an Australian person would call an egg sandwich.
Oh, an egg sando.
An egg sando. They put eggs in everything in Japan, famously. Like I was looking at the McDonald's menu yesterday because we're going to, and Louise wanted to know what differences there were in McDonald's, and they just put an egg in everything. It's like a hamburger with an egg on it.
This Diet Coke's got an egg in it.
I know. What is this? Get this McFlurry back. A cream egg McFlurry. Cream? Just put eggs in it, mate. They're doing a Jurassic Park burger just now in McDonald's Japan, and I'm hoping it's still there when I go. They're shaped like a big claw.
Is it? Do they cook it on the clever griddle? Come on now.
Shite.
Any other? They put it between two bun.
And it also comes with a spicy sauce that'll leave you with a megasaurus.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, Shay, what percentage of 1-star reviews do you think are legitimate? Only the ones for this podcast. We'll see you next week, folks. Thank you very much for your support on patreon.com/video games chronicle. Lots coming up, including our Death Stranding 2 coverage next week, and lots to check out on Patreon. Plans for the weekend, Chris? I'm going to be melting my bollocks off.
I'm off to Airdrie Town Hall for another spot of professional wrestling, professional in inverted commas. I'm hoping to see some of the stars of tomorrow, such as Lucha DS, who's basically just a man wearing a luchador mask. So I'll be whooping and a hollering for the folks at whatever federation it is that I've forgotten.
Well, be sure to check out Chris down at the wrestling. He's not that intimidating in person. But before we go, a special treat for all of you that supported us over the years, afforded us the opportunity to win Games Media Brand of the Year. We have a special guest. He deigned to join us after being out on the piss last night. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Andy Robinson. And before we go, we'd be remiss not to have a cameo from the man himself, the award-winning Andy Robinson. Andy, how you doing?
Hello. Sorry, I was supposed to be on this podcast, but I woke up 5 minutes ago.
Because you were on an open-top bus tour through London with a trophy, celebrating.
I even poured Mayan brew
really
in.
heavy.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. You can bludgeon someone with that.
My new cheese board.
Nice.
I'll have an assortment of brie off of here.
The best cheese.
You could potentially drill a hole into the top of it and drink libations out of it.
I'm going to use this. I'm going to write all of VGC's enemies onto the side of it. Jordan Midler.
Get your dog to sign it.
I'm just going to say number of MCV awards won by VGC when I didn't work here, 0. Number 1 when I did work here, 1. There you go.
Number after you get fired, 4.
Well, did you give a speech?
Probably.
Oh no! Listen, that doesn't bode well. That's going to be some sort of right wing bullshit.
Stop the boats.
First of all, I'd like to read a list of everyone that has wronged VGC over the past.
I'm like Father Ted. Next we come to liars. No, exciting times. I poured my drink into a wee PlayStation trophy to celebrate as well.
Oh,
that's
nice.
how exciting.
Thanks to everyone who helped make it happen. It's nice. I mean, I'm not a big awards guy. I'm not motivated by awards, but it's obviously nice to have. So yeah, thanks for everyone who's kind of supported us, read us, shared, joined the Patreon. Even shout out to the haters as well.
Yeah.
Big shout out to the haters.
Big shout out to the haters. We'll be touring the trophy around the UK over the next couple of months. So if you want to come and get your photo taken with it,
I will be drinking out of it in the in the Good Intent pub in
It's-
Hornchurch.
it's
from about
honestly-
6 p.m.
It's a really good thing we didn't get that before SGF, because we would have taken it to LA and it would not have come home. It would have been thrown out of the window of the JW Marriott from 45 stories up. And
Try land
You know
it. Try
what?
land it in the
This
pool.
100% would kill someone as well.
oh yeah,
We at some point we in that suite we were in, someone would have tried to land it in the pool,
oh definitely.
about throwing it out the window.
Get-
Right, I need to go to my children's sports day. Another
Enjoy.
thing that I've slept through.
Hope they
I'm
win.
taking the award with me.
Hope
Enjoy.
they win another award.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was letting the family down.
This is what you should be trying to win. Pick the egg and spoon back up.
Well, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week. Patreon.com/Video Games Chronicles. Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
Easy. And we'll see you next week.